Medieval Europe stood unsuspecting beneath castle walls. None could imagine the horror about to descend. Streets became charnel houses. Plague doctors in beaked masks walked among the dying and the dead. Villages fell silent. Crops rotted, unharvested. Entire communities vanished from the face of the earth. Rewind to 1300. Europe thrived. Cities grew, cathedrals rose, prosperity seemed endless. Rewind to 1300. Europe thrived. Cities grew, cathedrals rose, prosperity seemed endless. In the shadows, death waited. A simple rat carrying fleas. The deadliest creature in history. From Central Asia, plague began its march westward, consuming everything in its path toward Europe. Mass graves became necessary when individual burial became impossible. Thousands buried together quickly mourned. The 14th century brought famine, war, revolt, and plague. A century of unimaginable death. Medieval artists captured terror in manuscripts. The Grim Reaper seemed to walk among the living. Even churches offered no sanctuary. Priests died giving last rites. Faith perished with the faithful. The 14th century, the Black Death. The most devastating century in human history. As the century opened, great powers seemed stable. Mongol legacy endured. Kingdoms prospered. Paris thrived beneath Notre Dame's towers. The largest city in Europe seemed safe and prosperous. The Mongol Empire fractured into competing Khanet's Golden Horde, Ilkhanate Chagatai, and Yuan separated. In China, Mongol Yuan rulers grew distant. Chinese resentment simmered, awaiting its moment. Cairo flourished under Mamluk rule. Islamic civilization continued its scholarly traditions and recovery. Constantinople governed a shrinking empire. Byzantine glory faded as new threats gathered nearby. A small Turkish beylik called the Ottomans began its rise. Humble beginnings, tremendous destiny. England and France edged toward war. Rival dynasties, mounting tensions, generations of conflict ahead. Italian city-states accumulated wealth through trade. Venice, Florence, Genoese seeds of Renaissance stirring. Something stirred in Central Asia. A microscopic killer began its journey. Death was awakening. The medieval world seemed peaceful, but darkness crept at the edges, preparing its assault. Storm clouds gathered over Christendom. The apocalypse was coming. No fortress could stop it. The Great Famine, 1315 to 1317. Death by starvation weakened all Europe. Spring 1315 rains began and never stopped. Crops drowned across the entire continent, floods destroyed thefts, livestock died. Europe's agricultural system collapsed completely and catastrophically. Markets stood empty. Food prices soared beyond any peasant's ability to pay for survival. Desperate people ate grass, bark, rats, leather. Starvation drove humans to unimaginable extremes. Millions died of starvation and disease. Europe's population began its terrible, irreversible decline. Famine left Europe weakened, malnourished, immune systems compromised. Perfect victims awaited their predator. The 100 Years' War begins. 1337, England and France chose war amid famine. Edward III claimed the French throne. France rejected him. War was declared immediately. Both kingdoms mobilized for swift conflict. Instead, war would consume 5 entire generations. English commanders developed massed lombardmen. Common peasants could now destroy noble knights from distance. At Crécy 1346, French knights charged with supreme confidence, the finest European chivalry. English arrows darkened the sky, thousands fell in minutes. French nobility was systematically slaughtered. Crécy's aftermath shocked Europe. Armored knights lay heaped in piles. Medieval warfare changed forever. Soldiers returning home carried something invisible. Unknowingly, they brought humanity's greatest killer with them. The Black Death arrives 3047. The most catastrophic pandemic in human history begins. At Kaffa, Mongol besiegers began dying mysteriously. Strange disease killed warriors faster than defenders. Mongols catapulted infected corpses over walls, history's first biological warfare. Death spread within. Genoese merchants fled by ship, already infected. Death ships sailed toward Italy carrying doom. October 1347. Plague ships reached Sicily. Locals approached sick sailors. Infection spread instantly. First came fever, chills, headaches. Victims felt unwell but had no idea what was coming. Sicily fell within weeks. Whole families died together. Churches overflowed, nowhere to hide. From Sicily, plague spread along trade routes. Venice, Florence, Genoa falling to death. Florence descended into hell. Bodies stacked like merchandise. Dogs dragged corpses through empty streets. 1348 brought plague to France. Marseille first, then spreading inland, consuming everything. Even the papal court was struck. Pope Clement sat between fires, hoping to purify air. Plague crossed the English Channel in 1338. No water could stop death's advance. English villages died completely. Entire communities vanished, leaving no survivors to remember them. Germany, Scandinavia, Low Countries plague consumed all. Black shadows spread across Europe's entire map. Plague doctors in bird masks became icons. Their IBs and remedies were completely useless. Medieval medicine had no answers. Divine punishment, bad air, poisoned wells, none brought comfort. Flagellants marched through towns, whipping themselves bloody, believing penance might end God's wrath. Jews were blamed for plague, accused of poisoning wells. Mobs attacked Jewish quarters everywhere. Jewish communities burned across Europe, thousands murdered. Medieval anti-Semitism found its deadliest expression. Priests died giving last rites. Churches closed, the faithful died unshriven, spiritually abandoned, monasteries emptied completely. Bell towers fell silent when no monks remained to ring them. Plague killed rich and poor alike. Wealth provided no protection. Death equalized all. Trade networks collapsed. Markets closed. Commerce ceased. Medieval economy shattered into fragments. Ships drifted at sea with all crew dead. Ghost ships of plague-haunted imaginations. By 1351, plague receded. Survivors emerged into a devastated, utterly transformed world. Perhaps 200 million dead worldwide. Up to 60% of Europe gone forever. Empty villages, untended fields, wandering livestock. The landscape itself seemed to mourn humanity. The world after plagued, society, economy, religion, art, nothing would ever be same again. Few workers remained. Survivors demanded higher wages. Labor scarcity gave common people unprecedented power. Lords tried maintaining the old system. Statute of laborers froze wages. Workers refused compliance. 1381 English peasants rose in revolt. Wat Tyler led masses marching toward London. Young King Richard met rebels. Tyler was assassinated. Revolt collapsed, but message echoed on serfdom declined across Europe. Peasants gained unimaginable freedoms. Feudalism was dying everywhere. The church had failed to protect faithful. Religious doubts spread widely among traumatized survivors. Merchants gained power as nobility weakened. A new middle class emerged from feudal ruins. Art reflected trauma. Skulls appeared everywhere. The dance of death became cultural obsession. The fall of the Yuan. 1368, China expelled Mongol rulers and restored native dynasty. Yuan dynasty grew corrupt and distant. Chinese saw Mongols as oppressors. Rebellion became inevitable. Red Turban Rebellion combined Buddhism with nationalism. Peasants rose against Mongol overlords everywhere. Shu Yuanzhang emerged, orphaned beggar, monk, rebel commander, future emperor. His rise was extraordinary. Zhu defeated rivals and pushed Mongols north. Military genius and cunning unified all China. 1360 at last. Yuan emperor fled Beijing. Mongol rule ended. A new era began. Zhu became Hongwu emperor, founding Ming dynasty. Chinese ruled China again after a century. Ming restored Chinese culture, purging Mongol influences, reviving Confucian traditions, national identity reconstructed, Great Wall rebuilt and extended under Ming rule. Massive fortifications would define northern frontier. The rise of the Ottomans. A small Turkish beylik transformed into one of history's greatest empires. Osman I founded the dynasty around 1300. Small territory, no hint of greatness. Under Orhan Ottomans conquered Byzantine territories. Each victory brought more warriors to their banner. 1354 Ottomans crossed into Europe, capturing Gallipoli. Centuries of European presence began here. Murad I expanded into Balkans. Serbia, Bulgaria, Macedonia. Christian territories fell year after year. Kosovo, 1389 Serbian forces made final stand. Battle became legend. Serbia was lost. Janissary corps represented Ottoman innovation. Christian boys, converted young, became elite soldiers of empire. By century's end, Byzantine territory shrank to Constantinople alone. Ancient empire awaited inevitable end. Timur, the destroyer, a new conqueror arose, claiming Genghis Khan's bloody legacy in Central Asia. Timur built an empire on skulls. His cruelty matched even the Mongols' fearsome reputation. From Samarkand, Timur's armies swept across Persia, Iraq, India, Syria. Cities were utterly annihilated. 1390 Timur sacked Delhi with unprecedented brutality. 100,000 massacred. Sultanate shattered. Even Ottomans fell to Timur. Ankara, 1402 he defeated and captured Sultan Bayezid himself. Timur died 1405, preparing to invade China. His empire fragmented in ways only devastation remained. Yet, Samarkand flourished under Timur. Beautiful mosques rose even as armies spread terror abroad. The Western Schism, the Catholic Church, tore itself apart with competing popes claiming authority. 1377 Pope Gregory returned to Rome, ending Avignon papacy. But chaos followed transition. Urban VI's election was disputed. Cardinals declared it invalid. They elected another pope. For decades, two popes claimed authority. Roman Avignon. Europe divided. Christianity split apart. Nations chose sides politically. France backed Avignon, England backed Rome. Schism became another battlefield. Councils tried resolving crises, sometimes creating three popes. Sacred institution became political farce. Schism exposed church corruption. Reformers demanded change. Seeds of Protestant Reformation were planted here. The rest of the world. Other civilizations experienced their own triumphs and tragedies this century. Mali's Mansa Musupa Sibley, history's richest human. His pilgrimage to Mecca astonished the entire world. Musa gave away so much gold in Cairo that he crashed Egypt's economy for years. Timbuktu became a center of Islamic learning. Libraries held countless manuscripts. African scholars flourished. 1325 Aztecs founded Tenochtitlan on a lake island. Eagle had landed on Cactus's Japan, experienced turmoil, competing courts, samurai warfare, political fragmentation. Stability remained elusive throughout century. Korea's Goryeo dynasty weakened. As Mongol power faded, new forces gathered to reshape peninsula. Majapahit Empire reached peak in Southeast Asia. Hindu-Buddhist civilization flourished across Indonesian archipelago. India remained fragmented. Delhi Sultanate, weakened by Timur, couldn't prevent regional powers rising independently. Despite catastrophes, global trade continued. Silk Road functioned, merchants still connected distant civilizations. Black Death wasn't only European, Middle East and North Africa also lost millions to plague. Globally, perhaps 200 million died. Human population crashed worldwide. Species-level catastrophe struck. The 14th century concentrated more suffering into 100 years than most centuries ever see. Mass graves, burning cities, empty fields imagery of 14th century defines human catastrophe forever. Yet from darkness came progress. Medical knowledge advanced, social structures modernized, trauma reshaped humanity, survivors rebuilt from ruins, population recovered. In Italian cities, a renaissance was beginning. New art, new thinking, new humanism emerged from aftermath. Renaissance would transform civilization entirely.